Haven't. Yeah, missed out a little bit yesterday. Too much going on. Way too much going on. But facts. No cap. We here. Uh, might as well. Oh, watch a little bit of TV at the same time, man. But of course, welcome to No Cap. You see the title for today, man. We getting right to it. Another low key, wild conversation I had. You know, a lot of the ideas that might be expressed today might be a little outrageous, but trust me, not the only one thinking it. This is common opinion, and this happens. Trust me. Oh, let me find this remote. I got the TV down. Yeah, we good. But church, we right there. The church, man. I'm kind of like trepidatious about, if that's a word, about even having this conversation because similar to politics, man, it was one of those things where people frown upon having that conversation. Finances, politics, and religion. One of those taboo conversations. Oh well. Growing up, where I grew up, most folks are that skin color. No Christian, riding with the Bible through thick and thin. And at the beginning of the conversation, I want to say like we do need a lot more disciplinary factors in the community. Religion being one of them. Whether you pray to God or Jesus, some people do either or. Whether you Muslim, whether you Buddhist, everybody needs something that they can lean on that can inspire them to act accordingly and move in the direction that they best see fit. Back to it. With majority of the folk I've grown up around or been around being Christian, a lot of the Christian beliefs come up in mid conversation, and a lot of teachings are important. Like there's a lot of life lessons in the Bible, a lot of character development, and a lot of science. Honestly, if you look into it, there's all kind of scientific information in the Bible, like dietary information, sociological factors, psychological development. Just for a book that doesn't speak in science, it's real scientific enough. But with dealing with that, it's also extremely interesting on how it's perceived and how people go about having that conversation or how people go about even bringing it up. And that's a tough situation because it's supposed to be like a overarching power and like the foundation of folks' lives. But at the same time, it becomes real individualized where you can have 1,000 people in a moderate sized church, or that's kind of a bigger sized church. Let's say like 250, you got 250 people in the church. You can read a Bible scripture, and then instead of pastor breaking it down to you and everybody being on the same accord, you can have people read it and then come up with upwards of hundreds of different takeaways from the same line. And that's also the same process when you stretch it along the entire manuscript. And then it's up from there. But it's wild when you talk about the Bible, right? Where, all right, we can get straight to it. We got a problem, like, where people who most likely to bring it up, they don't really be listening to what they're saying, and they don't really apply what they're saying, right? And that was really the foundation of the conversation right now, where there's a large number of people who don't believe in anything, because what humans seeing is believing. When you get to religion, it's the things not seen. That's the foundation of religion. So you got a large number of people who like, we not, nah, that ain't for me. Then you got the people who believe in it and they stick to it. They buy the book. I'm gonna take it word for word, verbatim. This is how it exist. Then you got a larger number of people who they'll preach it at you, thump the Bible at you, but they don't show and prove. It's, you can recite it, you can remember it, you can give it to anybody in any situation. You got lines you can quote verbatim, word for word. Don't, if you were to look at their lives and assess their actions, two things don't connect. And then you got those smallest percentage of people who take it, digest the information, and they don't do either. I'm not gonna take it at its basic literary definition. So I'm not gonna study it and abide it word for word. But at the same time, I'm not just gonna completely ignore it either. I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna receive it, I'm gonna process it, analyze it, relate it to my life, and then move accordingly. And of these four groups I just named, that's probably the smallest group, but the only group that's going about religion the right way. Because, unpopular opinion, believe it or not, the Bible is not a book to just be taken literally. Wasn't nobody named Job, bro. There's been millions of Johns. If you get into the science of it, folks like, that's blasphemous, bro. Hebrew, with no letter J. But that's not the conversation of the day. We're not gonna get into that, because when you're talking about religion, people either on this side or that side, and they just gonna argue they side and not really try to come to agree. But we're not gonna have that conversation, right? The conversation we will have is, it's not supposed to be taken literally. It's supposed to be received, and then you're supposed to take it, learn the lesson from it, and relate it to your life. So, alliteration. For example, I don't know how many ever read Aesop's Fables, but Aesop's Fables, a book of stories written by who knows, nobody can tell. Bunch of people who told stories and then just collected by one person. Book of tales that was written by multiple people and then just compiled in one collection by somebody. It's like the Brothers Grimm, except the tales have a overarching theme at the end of it. similar to the Bible, right? And what Aesop's fables is, I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm gonna give you characters you can relate to. I'm gonna give you a situation you should be able to understand, and then I'm gonna teach you a lesson on how to go about it if you're ever in that situation. And that's all Aesop's fables is. Boom, 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 boom. Story after story, giving you a lesson at the end. And that's how the Bible was supposed to be viewed. And again, regardless of the mannerisms, you disagree, you can give a perspective. And I always here to learn. I always want to hear different perspectives because it's about getting to the truth. Like, it's not about being right or wrong, but until the first person is willing to step out there and stand on their opinion, no matter how wild it is, then there's no basis or foundation for a conversation to be had. So I'm jumping out there again. Bring all your perspective that you can give. If you just gonna criticize, you can keep it because it doesn't help, honestly. So good for you. But the Bible is similar to Aesop's fables to me, where you read these stories, you relate to the situation, you view the parallels between the story and what you see in everyday life. You apply the lesson and move accordingly. You don't have to be Christian in order to do that. You don't have to be Muslim in order to understand the story in the Quran and to apply it accordingly, or Buddhist principles, or Hindu principles. You don't have to jump head first into the culture built by these religions in order to learn from them and apply them. But getting back to the black community, that ain't how it work over here, bro. Just this book is law. Take everything as law, apply it literally. Don't stray from it. Don't ask questions. Just this is what it is. That be the end of it. That's when you take something that is supposed to be used for growth and learning, and instead you turn it into basically like disciplinary device where it's this or else with no room for understanding, no room for learning. Just keep your head down, trudge through it. That's too simplistic. And even the first story of the Bible kind of lends itself toward the same kind of thought process because everybody knows, no matter Christian or not, everybody knows Adam and Eve. And the thing that popped up to me when I was a child and I heard about it, first thing I thought of is, so God told them, don't do this. They did the complete opposite and just said, F it. Whatever happens, happens. But where's the line in the middle where you ask why and seek understanding? And understanding being a real important word, right? Because you hear it all the time, God gave you free will. Okay. But that free will doesn't mean just go make a decision just to experience something. That free will could be, okay, I have the free will to learn and get closer to the truth. Because out the same mouth, people tell you you got free will, they also tell you you're supposed to get closer to God, grow closer to God, beyond your comprehension, beyond your understanding. Then what is the free will for? Again, I'm not gonna get that deep into it, but when you have questions like these, it becomes hard to bridge the gap between you believe and you're telling others to believe as well, and they just not hearing you. So there's an impasse, right? The conversations are happening, and that's kind of a blessing where folks on one side you have time to take a deep breath and get your get your spiel together, get your story together, get everything lined up. Because if you have the conversation and you start getting hit with these questions, then you start looking at your own angles and realizing, all right, I don't have the answer 100% either. And for folk who I wouldn't say are woke, but are cognizant enough to ask these questions, you're sitting right there in that same avenue where I know that just acting and not believing anything is wrong because inside something to tell you where there's a compass pointing you that direction, but you don't know why you have it or why you're heading in that direction. And then on the other side, I'm hearing what you're saying. You have a lot of structure, but it's not making sense. And there becomes discomfort and there's a lot of friction whenever people question why you have these blinders on and why certain parts of the story don't add up. There's a few inconsistencies that shouldn't be there if this is perfect or that's perfect. And when you got people sitting in the middle looking both ways going, nah, neither of these is it, that means there has to be some middle ground. And the middle ground is the folk going, dude, it's all about learning. It's all about getting closer to the truth. This right here is applicable to what's going on, but I'm not supposed to force myself into the story because no matter how you feel, let's say you watch the movie, you enjoy the movie, you relate to the movie. For them, black folk, New Jack City, hit the streets, went crazy. No matter how much you enjoy New Jack City, it became outrageous for you to take that home with you and try to act yourself into the movie. You ain't gonna never meet Nino Brown. That ain't. You can be your brother's keeper, but it ain't gonna be him. Like you can take it, you can apply it, you can learn from it, and then you can go. But similar with the Bible, you're not gonna meet these people over there. Dead and gone. Millennia have passed. Generation after generation has passed. You're not gonna meet them. So you can't put yourself in their shoes. But what you can do is find the parallels and learn a lesson from it and apply it. So that to me is the perfect use of religion. Use it as like the North Star when you're escaping slavery. I know I'm supposed to be heading north. That don't tell me what direction to go in this forest. Because it might only be one exit and that thing is over there to the east. So I got to go east to go north. But if all you paying attention to is that, you ain't gonna get nowhere because the exit over that way. You have to apply that to what's on the ground with you. But that's just the beginning part of the conversation, right? We to the point where people don't really like being told what to do, right? Everywhere you turn, there's somebody who wants power over you or wants to control you, wants control over you. And they don't want to give you anything in return. And when it's done with religion, that's where you get the inconsistency where if I have freedom and if you love me how you say you do, then why are you trying to control me? Or why are you trying to coerce me? And why are you not just trying to relate to me? And when you're dealing with the religion in the black community, that relation is gone. The relationship doesn't exist. It's just, you need to do this. I'm going to say it to you and say it at you and spread it to you. And at the end of the day, you're really not doing anybody any favors. Because on one side, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it. And unless you understand where I'm coming from and you can make it make sense, I'm completely closed off to it. And on the other side, who is you? You're not God. It's not your job to try to save me. You can't save me. Yeah, all the time. Only Jesus can save. Cool. Then stop trying to save me. There's no need for any of the overbearing religious segregation and nitpicking. I'm over here. You're going to be on that side. You want to be on that side. It's divisive. The same tool that should be used to uplift and teach is the same tool that would be used for divisive acts and persecution. Finances, politics, religion. The same conversations that people are uncomfortable having, it shouldn't be uncomfortable. If they're uncomfortable, that means that something in the process is broken. Should be comfortable having these conversations because each one should be used to help you learn, grow, and flourish. Finances. This is how much you need to be comfortable. Don't need excess, don't need poverty. This is going to sustain you to achieve your goals. Aim for that. Don't compare to me because my goals are different than yours. I have more kids. I have more wives. I have more property. I just have myself. Varying levels of what's required when you talk about finances. So don't compare your situation to mine unless it's applicable. But you, across the board, every single person deserves enough to be comfortable. For politics, what makes the most sense for yourself as an individual and for a group? There's no need to put a category on it. This is going to be most positive, influential, supportive decision. That's the decision we should make. Be that simple. But not based in making the best decision long term. Based in hatred. The lust for control and greed makes politics unbearable. Religion. Not based in growth and learning and love and respect. It's based in control and social economics. Where's your standing? Am I above you or below you? Shouldn't be any of that. Religion, you're all on the same level. And these conversations are uncomfortable because, again, there's something wrong with the process. There's something broken. It's not being used correctly. And getting back to religion, right? If you take a step back from the micro and look at the bigger picture, because the micro conversation is that how does it fit my situation? How does it make sense for me? You get to the macro situation where the purpose of it is supposed to be the improvement of the lives of many. And even religion isn't safe from being pimped. I guess common knowledge. If you want to shelter your money on a church, start a church. 501c3 status. Put your bread up. And the more churches, I don't know if you paid attention to this or not, the more churches you have in the neighborhood, the trashier the neighborhood looks. Because that tax money isn't going in. So we're not taking that money to fix the neighborhoods. We're not going to fix the streets, the sidewalks, parks, none of that. So So while they're not paying taxes at the same time, you look at little communities and neighborhoods around the churches. A lot of them are owned by churches. You look at the cars the pastor is driving. Like, I remember on point, I remember this to this day. I was going to a church, right? Of course, against my will, young child, teenager, same thing. And like, all right, there's a certain vibe to it. So every time you walk into a church, there's a feel. You're gonna get the same smell. The temperature gonna be the same. Whether it's hot or cold, the temperature is going to be consistent, which is crazy. Smells are gonna be the same. The wardrobe is gonna be the same. The behaviors and mannerisms of what's going on in the church is gonna be the same. All right, so I know what to expect. But only thing I really couldn't understand was, all right, we had this group of people. Sometimes I see new people. Sometimes I see the same faces over and over. The only thing that's consistent is every week you're expected to pay. All right, as a child, I'm thinking, all right, if we putting all this money in here, where is it going? And just doing quick math, I'm like, all right, so I'm just gonna look at this one trade I'm looking at right here. I'm seeing a lot of money. Chill, like that. So I'm seeing, I'm like, all right, so there's a bunch of trades every week, nonstop. I hear a lot of preaching, but nobody's explaining to me what the funds are going to. Because pretty sure the bills can't be that high. Bill is big, but they're not using it that often, so the bill shouldn't be that high. Not like they spending on food or nothing. Bill don't go nowhere, so it can't be gas. Then one day leaving church, see the pastor's car. Like, that's a night. And remember, still purest of thoughts, child. Like, bro, this is the nicest car I've never seen. Nobody else driving a car like that. Why is that necessary? Look past it. Preacher's wife, came in a separate car. Also nice. Like, all right, that's crazy. I'm like, I wonder what their house look like if these are the cars. It thought burrowed in my head. I'm like, all right, cool. And then one day in the church where we come in and there's an announcement, we would like a round of applause because the church was just able to purchase a jet in order to spread the message with along farther corners of the earth and to expand the boundaries of the word. Man, boundaries of the word, after I heard that, I clocked out. Because I already had a few strikes. That was the last one right there. Just a plane. The church need a plane. Fast forward, young adult. And now I'm starting to really pay attention to it because I'm riding past churches. I'm like, dang, this church right here got 3 different locations, 4 different services. I'm like, bro, it's only one word, right? You only got one message to spread, so why do you need 4 different locations? But by that time, I'd already started living life and experiencing things. So I'm like, I remember the money that was made in just that one church. So you making money in 4 different churches. That's what that means to me. Then I learned a little bit more. Dang, that church right there, they own that, yeah, that lot that lot, those apartments over there, these apartments over here, that daycare center, and then buses that don't never go pick nobody up. Got to college and I learned about the business structures and the nonprofit structuring, and I was like, ah, churches is included, so you ain't even paying taxes for real. Ah, yeah, pastors is pimping. That's the only thing I could hear. Pastors is pimping. Don't make sense to me. Like it's crazy, right? I understand everybody needs to make money, but I didn't think churches were built to be ATMs, which is crazy because looking back as a child, I never noticed it, but as an adult, after I started using them, I'm like, man, all the churches I've been in had ATMs in them. Crazy, crazy. And once you start deducing different clues such as that, you're like, man, all right, this is ill, bro. Like, this is really nasty. It's not really even about spreading a religion or spreading a word or improving anybody's life. It's just easy money. I know. There's the other side. There's the people on the backside going through the process who want to explain it. Again, you can give me your perspective. Perspective. Teach me something. But there's no denying that on this side, you look crazy as hell. So to dive back into the conversation, when the few folk that are familiar with church see it as just a money grab, again, why should I listen? You're not teaching your followers that it's not literal, that it's allegorical. You're supposed to take it and apply it, not try to relive it. So for them to come out and it's a game of telephone, you saying one thing, they saying the next thing, and the third person like, I'm not trying to hear neither one of y'all because y'all both got me messed up. That's where we at. And with due much due respect, the only folk or religious folk who ever got respect were those who didn't force it down somebody else's throat. The older people I had conversations with growing up, it's I'm not gonna tell you to go to church. I'm just gonna tell you that this is my story. This is what I went through. I started applying church to my life and I started making these changes. Make a relation. I can relate to what you got going on. Compared to Ecclesiastes 1:13 says, I can't spell Ecclesiastes. You need to make it make sense. Folks is outside dying right now. The school system is in a worse position than it's ever been in. Kids is out here root. There's no such thing as kids anymore. There's young adults and there's wild animals. Parenting is at an all-time low. There's more money around than ever, but people are broker than ever. Inflation is crazy. Nobody controls their life. Dependent on other people for food, water, hell, air, shelter, all the important things that you need to thrive, you're dependent on somebody else for, and they're taking it and they are manipulating the system so bad where it's next to impossible to live comfortably. All of these things are happening. And what are you in the church doing to make my life more comfortable or help me navigate to improve my situation? similar experience I had to Greek life and Freemasonry in those organizations. Conversations for another day, but let's believe conversations that will be had. But if what you talking about, you can't relate it to what's happening today, it don't matter. And it's not a generational thing. It's not applicable. You trying to convince me about your love for analog TV and your passion for the Atari. Bro, that's not the technology we're using right now. You could be taking your knowledge of video games and technology and applying it to what's going on today, but you're stuck in this lane right here. And you don't want to get into the second lane. You don't want to get in the third lane. You not even looking at the HOV lane. You staying right here. And it's not helping nobody. But imagine you telling everybody else that they moving too fast because you want to stay at 50 miles per hour on the highway. You can't make it make sense. It's got to the point where now religious groups just look like cults. And my perspective is religion, church, mosque, fill in the blank, is all just groups of people practicing their brand of spirituality together. And when you get into environments like that, wonderful. Concerts, especially concerts where people have an attachment to the music, or movies where people have an attachment to what's happening, they can give off the same type of vibes as church. When people are spiritually and emotionally attached to what's going on, the vibe is the same or equivalent. When you're actively participating, the vibe is the same. Don't believe it? Find yourself in different environments where everybody shares the same passion and they're practicing it the same way. You get that same uplifting feeling when favorite artist stops singing, cuts the music off, and just lets everybody sing together. And doesn't have to be the singing in church. It could just be walking in church and listening. You get the same vibe from you singing at a concert to being preached a good word. Why is that? It has to be something behind it. It's got to be something deeper than science, but less vague than religion that can connect these dots and why they correlate the way they do. And you can't be on one side telling people, hey man, you got to do what I'm telling you to do just because somebody told me to do it. How does it relate to my life? How does it correlate to my life? And a lot of the crazy thing, dating podcasts are a super, super, like extremely micro example of what a preacher is trying to do. Clarify what your goals are. Understand what your aspirations are. Come to terms with what your situation is. Understand the environment around you, helping you Learn for yourself how to navigate the environment to achieve your goal. When it's done with intentionality, right podcast host is a preacher in this situation. Remember. But what they teaching is a particular thing, and the preach is just to teach. Somebody's trying to teach you, and the biggest difference is when you're dealing with religion, this manifesto, this text is the grounds from which I have my information. And I'm giving it back to you. Same way your therapist has a group of books and manifestos from which they get their information to help do the same thing. Difference being on the podcast side, manifestos don't have to be books. It can just be a gathering of data and information, sociological stats, telling you that this is how people operate and this is how you should maneuver. But the pristine example for all of these and the bridge that needs to be crossed in this situation is, remember at the beginning, don't just preach at me, you gotta relate to me. People who teach from experience and people who teach from information and data are just two sides of the same coin. And the person that you're looking for is somebody that's going to teach from a logical standpoint, in which there's information from a book that I've read, there's data that I can relate and give and regurgitate to you. And then people who speak with experience, and the people who can do both and be both, that's the person you're looking for. And that's hard to find. Real hard to find somebody who has the lived experience and the learned knowledge, has both of them, and their intent isn't to monetize your journey. Their intent is to help you learn, grow, and flourish. And all the religious texts that you look in, those are the kind of teachers that were the protagonists in these stories. They suffered, they've been through things, they lived life, they were taught, they have information that they can lean on, and they turn around, they want to give it back to you. And that's what I'm trying to do here, folks. Constantly reading for the books, articles, blogs, statistical collections of data, getting all this information possible, then having conversation with folks. Of course, not perfect. Nobody's ever been perfect. Nobody can be perfect. But when your intent and your actions align, that's the best you can hope for. There's always going to be friction as well, because if you're not communicating on the same wavelength, or somebody isn't as open to different perspectives, there's going to be friction. And with friction, there's going to become issues. From these issues, experiences. That's all it is to it. And once you learn and you get yourself to a certain point where you understand how you want to communicate and what you want to communicate, from that point on, you just trying to put this square peg into a square hole. And when you come across somebody that's just a triangular hole or a circular hole, hey, you got to move around. Difference is, and people gonna use their circular holes and complain about the fact that it ain't work. Can't worry about that. Know what your intention is. You know where your foundation is rooted from. Go out there and engage with folk and connect. That's all religion was supposed to be. That's all the people at the top of religion were supposed to do. But when you change the process or you tweak the process just a little bit, the end results at the bottom, they're not what they used to be or what they could be. I'm not gonna give no advice on what you should do about it, but you got to acknowledge the situation and have the conversation. All you can aim to do is acknowledge the conversation and acknowledge the impasse. Got to relate before you can integrate. But again, my perspective, man. Give yours. Be open to it and in the platform just to have these conversations because it's the root of everything. Communication. That's all I'm here for. Right hand to God. Till next time, man. Have Bible thumping.